The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it. And
basically, Donald Trump was actually the trigger for me, in wanting to understand Islam, to investigate it. Because otherwise, if he hadn't said anything, I would probably have never, had any interest in Islam at all.
Kita tahu, sudah begitu banyak demonstrasi yang dilakukan warga Amerika untuk menentang kebijakan Presiden Donald Trump yang kerap menimbulkan kontroversi. Dan kita juga tahu, begitu banyak umat Islam yang tidak menyukai beberapa komentar Trump yang kerap tidak berimbang dalam menilai Islam. Namun, tidak banyak orang yang akan mengira ternyata Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala menjadikan Donald Trump sebagai jalan hidayah seorang Kristen untuk memeluk Islam. Seperti kisah Brother Mirko, Trump yang terus-menerus memberikan pernyataan negatif tentang Islam, justru membuat Mirko, seorang profesor linguistik, terdorong untuk mempelajari Islam lebih dalam.
First, I was a Christian, I was a Catholic, I was born in a Catholic family, even if they were not so, nominally, let's say. They were nominally Catholic. And as at the time as a Christian, I wanted to, be as active as possible within the community. So I was more within, a Franciscan community. And then I actually, at the age of 16, I felt inside me the idea of becoming a priest, a Franciscan friar, yes. So I decided to follow that path. And I became a postulant at the age of 18. In a Franciscan friary, and I remained there for 1.5 years, more or less. And at a certain point, it started becoming difficult. I wasn't probably prepared for that kind of experience.
Setelah menjalani masa postulat, yang merupakan masa peralihan dan perkenalan bagi calon biarawan agar dapat berorientasi dan mengenal kehidupan membiara, Mirko justru menemukan banyak masalah di sana. Hingga akhirnya ia memutuskan untuk keluar dan menjadi ateis.
And so I started, just being totally not interested in religion at all. So that's how my atheist phase started. So it came from a place of anger, so emotions, mostly. And then, I started working, just to, live a totally different life. And then at a certain point, I had to find a job, I found a job in Sicily, something that was completely, not my field, but still I managed to. It was solar energy, so much into technology. And then one day in 2010, surfing on the internet, I started seeing some pictures of northern lights in Iceland, waterfalls and glaciers, and I was like, wow, Iceland is amazing, And then the language nerd inside me, because I've always been a language nerd, I thought, what language do they speak? And then I went, on some websites to see some texts written in Icelandic. I was like, whoa, I want to learn this language. And then I started from, that first day, it was 4th of April 2010. From that day, every single day, sometime for Iceland, because I wanted to learn the language and move there. There was something, I don't know, that pushed me. And then, while I was there, then, I was still in my atheist phase, but I started traveling in Iceland. So I was shocked, amazed, seeing live, finally, those things that I had seen in photos, northern lights, in front of my eyes, waterfalls, glaciers. I had so many experiences there, and it's so beautiful, that landscape. And also, and then this pushed me in a way to think all this, this beauty is not just a product of random chance. That was, the thought that crossed my mind. And in a way, this led me, it was the first step back to theism. Now, when I moved back to theism, someone might ask, well, could have become back a Christian, Why not Christianity? Because even in that case, my thought is, no, I would never, come back to Christianity, because from my experience of Christianity is the idea of keeping balance. where basically, you are always in the same position. You don't move, like you don't change in your personality, and you just have to be careful to keep, balance. And if you fall, okay, there is the sacrament of confession, and after that you come back to the same position again. It's in a way a negative side of religion. I want to develop, and for doing that, it cannot be such a passive, attitude, which my opinion is, it is very common within, Christian society, at least Catholic society. So the idea that, you remain there, you don't have to change. Everything is fine with you in a way. You just have to be careful, to not fall. But that's a negative, view of religion in a way, because, it's like, the analogy of the bicycle. If you stay like this you ride a bicycle and you don't move, of course you're gonna fall. But the only way to keep balance and without falling is moving forward. So you have to develop somehow actively. And
Selama belasan tahun tinggal di Islandia dan menikmati keindahan alamnya, ia mulai merenungkan kembali tentang ketuhanan. Sambil menjalani kehidupannya, pemikiran tentang Tuhan terus mengisi benaknya, hingga akhirnya, pada tahun 2015, saat masa kampanye pertama Donald Trump, ia mengenal Islam.
Okay, so we are in 2015. Okay, would you believe me if I tell you that I became a Muslim also because of Donald Trump? That's how it, yeah, okay. So it was 2015. So it was the big, the election campaign, Trump versus Clinton. And of course, there was this huge anti-Islam narrative from his part and everything. And at the same time, I had started teaching. So meanwhile, I had, graduated in Icelandic, and I started teaching as an assistant. And I had students, from different countries, and some of them were Muslims, from Iran and Afghanistan. At that point, because the discussion in Iceland was also, it was an interesting topic, the election campaign in America. So at that point, I had two different narratives. Okay, one negative, one positive, because I saw my students, they were hardworking, they were very kind, very gentle, no problem with them, absolutely. So I was like, okay, then at this point, what is the truth here? Let's go to the, root of the issue, and let's read the Holy Quran. So I started reading the Holy Quran, while, I was thinking about theism and moving, towards the idea that there should be a God, then I also, came up with the question, well, okay, what characteristics has, this God? And one of the first things, not even, I hadn't read the Holy Quran. I didn't know what was there. But one of the first things that I thought was self-sufficient. That was one of the attributes that I thought even, I hadn't read the Holy Quran. And why did I come with this attribute specifically? Because in Christianity, there is more the idea that, God needs you, that God calls you to something, that you are in a way special because there is a mission for you. And for me, this idea of specialty didn't work anymore, in a way. That was my first thought at the time. But then, while reading the Holy Quran, it shocked me that there was the same, thought about, self-sufficient. I was like, whoa, that's exactly, what I thought. Many things resonated a lot with what I thought. It makes sense. This idea of God that I find in the Holy Quran, it makes more sense. Basically, Donald Trump was actually the trigger for me, in wanting to understand Islam, to investigate it. Because otherwise, if he hadn't said anything, I would probably have never, had any interest in Islam at all. It's the fact that there was, this narrative from him, and at the same time, my students, who were doing exactly the opposite thing, who piqued my curiosity. So in a way, the trigger has been him. It is the fact that Donald Trump, spoke against Islam while I was teaching Muslim students that piqued, in a way, my curiosity. So that was the first trigger.
Dari sini kita bisa belajar bahwa Islam akan terus berkembang, walau manusia bahu-membahu menghalanginya. Mereka ingin memadamkan cahaya Allah dengan mulut ucapan-ucapan mereka, tetapi Allah tetap menyempurnakan cahayanya, walaupun orang-orang kafir membencinya. Az-Saf, ayat 8.